Good evening and welcome aboard. Tonight we are leaving behind busy roads, crowded stations, and all the usual distractions of modern life. Instead, we are going to spend the night traveling one of England's most peaceful waterways, the Grand Union Canal. Our journey begins in a village of Braunston, a place often called the heart of the English canal network. For more than 200 years, boats have passed through here, carrying coal, timber, food, machinery, and nowadays, mostly people searching for something much simpler, a slower pace of life. As you step aboard our narrowboat, you can feel it gently moving beneath your feet. Not enough to be uncomfortable, just enough to remind you that we are floating. The water is calm this evening, almost perfectly still. The last sunlight of the day glows across the marina. Rows of narrowboats sit quietly in their moorings. Some are polished and freshly painted. Others show the character that comes from years of traveling the waterways. Flower pots sit on cabin roofs. Small bicycles are tied to railings. A few owners are sitting outside, enjoying the evening air. Everyone seems relaxed. There is no rush here. And that's one of the wonderful things about canal life. Nobody expects you to hurry. The pace of the canal decides everything. Our boat is just over 18 meters long. Traditional in appearance, painted deep green with cream panels. At the stern, where we'll spend much of our time tonight, the tiller extends out over the water. Simple, practical, unchanged in design for generations. Inside, the cabin is warm and cozy. Wooden cupboards, brass fittings, a small galley kitchen, a table by the window, and a comfortable sleeping area toward the bow. It feels less like a vehicle and more like a tiny floating cottage. I untied the mooring ropes. The engine starts with a gentle rumble. Immediately, the boat seems to wake up. The vibration travels softly through the deck beneath us. The water begins to move alongside the hull, and slowly we pull away from the bank. Bronston Marina drifts behind us. The evening breeze carries the scent of cut grass and summer hedgerows. Ahead lies the canal, narrow, peaceful, curving gently through the Northamptonshire countryside. As we settle into our cruising speed, which is only a little faster than walking pace, the outside world seems to slow down. Cars disappear. Traffic noise fades away. The only sounds now are the engine, the water, and occasional birds calling from nearby trees. The towpath runs alongside us. A cyclist pedals past. A dog walker smiles and raises a hand in greeting. I wave back. On the canals, people tend to acknowledge one another, not because they know each other, but because everyone has chosen to be part of this slower world. We continue east. The evening sun sits lower now, casting long shadows across the fields. Sheep graze lazily beyond the hedgerows. A few cows stand beneath a tree, enjoying the last warmth of the day. The canal bends gently, revealing new views around every corner. That's something I love about canal journeys. You never see very far ahead. The landscape reveals itself gradually. A bridge appears, then disappears behind you. A field opens up, then gives way to woodland. Every turn brings something new, yet nothing ever feels rushed. A line of moored narrowboats appears ahead. Many are clearly lived in full time. One has a roof garden. Another has colourful bunting hanging along its side. Outside one boat, a man sits reading a book in a folding chair. Beside him, a small dog watches the canal with great concentration. As we pass, he gives a small wave. The dog remains focused on the water, perhaps waiting for ducks, perhaps simply enjoying the evening. The sky continues changing color. Golden light softens into amber. amber becomes pale orange, and slowly hints of blue begin appearing overhead. It is one of the quietest moments of the day. That peaceful period between afternoon and night. The countryside seems to take a deep breath. Ahead of us now lies one of the most famous landmarks of the canal network, Bronston Tunnel. Built in the late 18th century, stretching for over a mile beneath the hills. The entrance gradually emerges between the trees, a dark stone archway. Standing quietly in the landscape exactly as it has for generations. As we approach, I switch on the tunnel light. Its reflection shimmers across the water. The air becomes cooler, stiller. And then we enter. Immediately, the outside world disappears. Daylight vanishes behind us. The tunnel walls surround us. Our engine echoes softly through the darkness. Water laps gently against the stone sides. The beam of light stretches ahead into the distance. Traveling through a canal tunnel feels strangely calming. There's nothing to look at except the path ahead. No distractions. No advertisements. No screens. Just steady forward movement. The tunnel encourages patience. It asks nothing from you except to relax and continue onward. Eventually, another light appears in the distance. A boat approaching from the opposite direction. For a while, it looks like a single star, growing slowly brighter. Then gradually, a narrowboat emerges from the darkness. The two boats pass each other quietly. The steerer offers a friendly greeting. The sound of their engine fades away behind us. And once again, we are alone. Minute by minute, the tunnel carries us onward beneath the countryside. Then finally, a pale circle of light appears ahead, growing larger, brighter, until we emerge back into the open air. The evening sky welcomes us once more, and the countryside stretches out around us. The sun has almost disappeared now, Night is beginning to arrive. As we leave Bronstone Tunnel behind us, the evening feels different. The countryside is quieter now, softer. The bright colors of sunset have faded into deeper shades of blue and violet. The air feels cooler against your skin. And somewhere in the distance, the first lights of evening begin appearing in farmhouse windows. Our narrowboat continues steadily onward. The engine maintains its familiar rhythm. A gentle mechanical heartbeat carrying us through the Northamptonshire countryside. The canal ahead is calm, almost perfectly smooth. The sky reflects in the dark water beneath us, occasionally broken by ripples spreading outward from the bow. There is something deeply relaxing about watching the water move at this speed. Not rushing, not crashing, simply flowing around us as we pass. The towpath beside us is almost empty now. Most walkers have returned home for the evening. Most cyclists are gone. The occasional figure still appears in the distance. A dog walker heading back toward a nearby village. A jogger enjoying the cooler evening air. But for long stretches it feels as though we have the canal entirely to ourselves. The trees lining the waterway have become silhouettes, dark shapes against the fading sky. Their reflections stretch across the canal, creating patterns that shift gently with every movement of the boat. Ahead, a heron stands perfectly still near the water's edge, watching, waiting. Its patience is remarkable. As we approach, it remains motionless until the very last moment. Then, with a few powerful wing beats, it lifts into the air and glides away across the fields, silent, effortless. Soon we approach Norton Junction, one of the important meeting points on the canal network. By day, there's often plenty of boating activity here, but this evening it feels peaceful. The waterway splits quietly beneath the evening sky. one route leading north, another west. We remain on the Grand Union Canal, continuing toward Stoke Bruern. As the junction slips behind us, I head briefly into the cabin. The kettle has been calling my name for a while now. One of the great pleasures of canal travel is how simple comforts somehow feel more enjoyable. Making tea aboard a narrowboat feels different from making tea at home. Perhaps it's because everything takes place at a slower pace. Perhaps it's because the view outside the window is constantly changing. The kettle begins to boil. The cabin glows softly beneath warm lights. Outside, darkness continues settling over the countryside. A few minutes later, I return to the stern carrying 2 mugs. One for you, one for me. The warmth feels welcome in the cool evening air. For a moment, we simply stand quietly, watching the landscape drift past, enjoying the comfort of a hot drink. There's no need for conversation. The canal provides all the company we need. The sky above grows darker with every passing minute. The first stars become visible. Small points of light appearing one by one. Far away from major towns and cities, the night sky always seems larger, clearer, more impressive. As your eyes adjust, more stars reveal themselves. Constellations begin taking shape. The familiar patterns that have guided travelers for centuries, long before roads, long before railways, long before GPS and navigation systems. The stars watched over canal boaters then, and they watch over us now. The countryside around us becomes wonderfully still. The distant hum of modern life feels very far away. No sirens, no traffic, no crowded streets, just fields, trees, water, and sky. Eventually, thoughts of dinner begin to appear. Nothing complicated. Canal boating has a way of making simple meals feel special. I secure the tiller and allow the boat to continue at its steady pace while I prepare something warm inside. The galley kitchen is compact but practical. Everything has its place. A small stove, a work surface, a cupboard filled with essentials. Soon the gentle aroma of food drifts through the cabin, comforting, familiar. The sort of meal that's perfect after a day outdoors. When people imagine traveling, they often think about destinations. But canal boating teaches something different. Sometimes the journey itself is enough. The destination becomes almost secondary. The pleasure comes from moving slowly through the landscape, watching the world unfold around you, enjoying moments that would otherwise pass unnoticed. After dinner, I return outside. The night has fully arrived now. The canal stretches ahead like a dark ribbon through the countryside. Moonlight dances across the water. The reflection broken occasionally by our wake. A gentle breeze moves through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls, its voice carrying clearly through the darkness. Then silence returns. The kind of silence that only exists in rural places, the kind that allows you to hear your own thoughts settle. Ahead of us now lies Bugby Locks, a flight of locks helping boats navigate changes in elevation along the canal. During busy summer days, they can be full of activity, boaters working together, families watching from the towpath, children feeding ducks nearby. Tonight, however, the locks feel almost deserted, peaceful beneath the moonlight. As we approach the first lock, the water becomes completely still. The lock gates stand waiting, dark silhouettes against the night sky. Working through locks is one of those tasks that naturally slows you down. There's no shortcut, no fast forward button. The process takes exactly as long as it takes. And strangely, that's part of its charm. I step ashore. The gravel crunches softly beneath my feet. The lock gates opens. Water begins moving gently around the boat. The level changes gradually. Nothing sudden, nothing dramatic. Just a slow adjustment. A reminder that the canal was engineered with remarkable patience and ingenuity. More than 200 years ago, people built these waterways by hand, digging through hills, constructing tunnels, building aqueducts and locks, creating a network that transformed the country. Tonight, we are enjoying the peaceful legacy of that work. One lock follows another, each one illuminated softly by moonlight, each one helping us continue our journey. Eventually, the final lock slips behind us, and once again we find ourselves cruising through calm, open water. The village lights of Stoke Bruern are still some distance away, but signs of civilization begin appearing. A cottage window glowing in the darkness. A narrowboat with a small lantern shining from inside. The occasional reflection of light dancing on the canal surface. The atmosphere feels cozy, welcoming, like approaching home after a long day. As the journey continues, I find myself reflecting on why narrowboats are so relaxing. Perhaps it's because they demand your attention without demanding your stress. You remain present, aware of your surroundings, yet never overwhelmed by them. Everything happens slowly enough to appreciate every bridge, every lock, every curve in the canal, every change in the weather. Life becomes simpler, and perhaps that's something many of us need from time to time. A reminder that not everything has to happen quickly. Not every moment has to be productive. Sometimes it's enough simply to move forward, steadily, patiently, 1 mile at a time, one lock at a time, one peaceful evening at a time. Eventually, lights begin appearing ahead, more lights than before. Reflections stretching across the water. The first signs of Stoke Bruin. The village sits quietly beside the canal. Known throughout England for its canal heritage, for generations, boaters have passed through here, stopping for supplies, for rest, for conversation. Tonight, however, the village is preparing for sleep. The canal museum is closed. The visitors have gone home. Only a handful of lights remain. The narrowboat glides forward at little more than a walking pace, barely disturbing the water. The village emerges slowly from the darkness. Stone cottages, historic log buildings, trees standing watch over the canal. Everything feels peaceful, respectfully peaceful, the sort of quiet that belongs beside water. We search for a suitable place to moor, a quiet stretch of towpath, sheltered, comfortable, perfect for spending the night. I step ashore with the rope. The boat settles gently against the bank. The mooring lines are secured. A few simple knots. Nothing complicated. The engine is switched off. And instantly the world changes. The familiar rumble disappears. The vibration beneath our feet vanishes. Silence takes its place. A remarkable silence. For a few moments, we simply listen. Leaves moving gently in a breeze. Water touching the hull. A distant owl. Nothing more. The narrowboat is now our floating home for the night. Inside, the cabin feels wonderfully cozy. Warm light spills across the wooden interior. The curtains are drawn. The kettle goes on one final time. Outside, the moon continues its slow journey across the sky. Inside, everything feels safe, comfortable, still. Perhaps we spend a little while reading. Perhaps we simply sit quietly with a warm drink, watching reflections move across the ceiling, listening to the occasional creak of the boat against against its ropes. The hours drift by gently, without urgency, without interruption. Eventually it becomes time for bed. The cabin lights are dimmed. The bunk awaits. Soft blankets, comfortable pillows. The simple luxury of being warm and sheltered while the countryside sleeps around us. You settle beneath the covers. The narrowboat moves ever so slightly. Tiny motions, almost impossible to notice, yet somehow comforting. Outside, Stoke-Bruern sleeps peacefully beside the Grand Union Canal. The locks stand silent. The water remains calm. The stars shine overhead. Tomorrow, new journeys will begin. New boats will pass through. New travelers will follow the same route we traveled tonight. But for now, there is nothing left to do. Nowhere left to go. Just the comfort of the cabin. The quiet movement of the water. And the peaceful feeling of being exactly where you need to be. Allow your breathing to slow. Allow the thoughts of the day to drift away. Let them flow gently down the canal and disappear into the darkness. Feel the calm of the water around you, the stillness of the countryside, the safety of the narrow boat. And as the night settles over Stoke-Bruern, beneath the stars and surrounded by centuries of canal history, you can simply rest. Close your eyes, get comfortable, and drift gently into sleep. Good night.